Uh, I'm glad that I'm with you today and talking about Power BI Premium. So if you have any questions through the webinar, just send your questions in question box, or at the end we will have some time for Q&A. Raise your hand and we will have like audio type of question and answering as well. So I'll start with presenting. Let me just make sure that I'm presenting on this monitor. Okay. All right. So Power BI Premium, a little bit about me before I start. I'm Reza Rad, Microsoft Data Platform MVP, author and author of some SQL Server BI books, and also Power BI book, which is available online, free in PDF format. You can download it and use it. It's about 1,000 pages already. I'm Power BI and Microsoft BI trainer and consultant, and these are my contact information. If you have any questions later on about Power BI in general or Power BI Premium, just let me know through these contact informations. Agenda of today. So today I'll go through some of the stuff about Power BI Premium, which announced earlier in May and made general available last week in Microsoft Data Insight Summit. Then at the end we will have some Q&A time as well. So if you have some questions about leveraging Power BI Premium, or not sure if you want to leverage what are situations in your organization, things like that, we can go through that Q&A as well. So agenda of today, I will talk about what was the licensing plan before May 2017, before announcement of Power BI Premium. Then I will talk about the licensing plan after that, which is the Power BI Premium. I'll go into details of why Premium is needed and what is the Premium licensing, what you will get as benefits of that licensing, what is the costings of that, and I will talk about if you want to use Premium and Embedded together, what is the licensing of that. At the end we will have Q&A. In this session we would not have any demos. It would be mainly slides and discussions around it. Okay, introduction to Power BI. I assume everyone who worked with this, who actually attended in this session already know Power BI, and I assume that you have some experience with using Power BI. If you don't know what Power BI is a self-service tool, cloud service self-service tool that you can easily build interactive reports and dashboard on top of your analytical data model or even transactional data model, and host it in a Power BI website, or host it on premises, which is through Power BI report server, which we will talk about that part as well. So I'm not going into details of what Power BI is. That needs its own type of session. I assume that you already know about Power BI, and then we will go to some discussions about that. All right, so I get some feedbacks that voice is breaking. Is that for everyone? Can you hear me properly? Can you see the screen properly as well? You can put in the chat window for questions. Okay, I see that voice is good. Yeah, seems good. Okay, that's great. Thank you for your feedback. All right, so what was happening before May 2017 in a galaxy far, far, far away? So before May 2017, licensing plan for Power BI was pretty simple. It was two separate accounts, Power BI Free and Power BI Pro. There have been some differences between these two. Both can use Power BI Desktop. In terms of using Power BI Desktop, there was no differences. In terms of development features, there was no differences. But some of the advanced features were features that only Pro could use. For example, the space that you got in the Power BI account in the website was 10 gigabyte for Pro. For Power BI Free was 1 gigabyte. With Pro, you had options to use direct query or live query. With Power BI Free, you haven't had that option. With Pro, you could refresh your dataset up to 8 times a day. With Free, it was up to once a day. If you wanted to use gateways, you could use it with Pro, but with Free, you can't. This is actually before May 2017. Now things are a little different. And gateways, if you don't know what it is a way of connecting from on-premises data sources to Power BI reports in cloud. So that means anything you wanted on your on-premises data sources as a report was actually a Pro feature and paid feature. Row-level security was a paid feature. Content packs was a paid feature. And content packs recently renamed to be Power BI apps. It's a little bit different, but before that time it was content pack as well. Workspaces was a Pro feature. If you wanted to use data streaming, you had option to do data streaming up to 10,000 rows per hour with Free. More than that was Pro. So as you can see, for most of these things, you needed a Pro Power BI Pro account to work with. Actually, this worked on the content level, not on the user level. So if you have had a Power BI content that used one of the Pro features, which is listed in this slide, then that means that you actually needed to upgrade to Pro account and use the Pro account. Any of the things that I mentioned before, so direct query or live query, even to Azure based data sources or to on-premises data sources, anything connected with on-premises data gateway or personal gateway, any data set that refresh more than once a day, data that is configured with row-level security, organizational content pack, workspaces, and data streaming more than 10,000 rows per hour. So in real world type of scenarios, it was very likely that you hit one of these situations and you needed to have Power BI Pro account. In general, Power BI Pro account was like a normal, usual need by itself in the previous plan. And that was not just for Power BI for developer, for the user as well. I'll get to that point. How about Power BI Embedded? Power BI Embedded scenario was also a little bit different. Power BI Embedded scenario was not per user, it was per session. Every time you open a page render considered as a session. I'll talk about page renders later on. Each session cost 5 US cents. This is again before May 2017. 5 US cents. So that means 10,000 sessions, 10,005 US cents, which makes it about $500. And there was some limitations in the embedded itself as well. Embedded only could have Azure SQL database live connection or direct query connection as a data source, which Azure SQL database itself was costing something as well. So with Power BI Premium changes, embedded pricing changed as well, which I will go to that part as well. So in previous planning, Power BI Pro account was needed for most of the scenarios, and that Pro account was not only for developer, it was also for consumer. If you have created a Power BI report that had some Power BI Pro content in it, any content that use gateways, live queries, and more than once a day refresh, row-level security, content packs, any kind of those things, if you wanted to share it with others, they also needed to have Power BI Pro account, right? So it was not just for developer. Okay, so that's what was the situation before May 2017. And now it comes to the question, okay, why premium is needed? I put it in 3 sections, but there are more reasons for that. These are, let's say, main reasons for that. One is having a large user base in your organization. The other one is Power BI model size limitation that we already have, and readers or consumers type of plan. Okay, so let's go into every single one of those. So large user base with the previous plan was quite a tough challenge itself. If you have a company and your company has or your organization has 10,000 users and you want to share your Power BI content with those 10,000 users, the previous plan meant that you have to pay $10 per user per month. $100,000 per month, $1.2 million per year. That's a lot of money if you want to consider leveraging a BI system for your organization. So it's one of the main reasons that Power BI Premium is created. So I'll show you what the costing of that would be when we go into Power BI Premium situation. So large user base organization cannot easily get benefit from using Power BI Pro because it's quite expensive. This is the plan before May 2017. The size limitation, no matter if you have been Power BI Pro user or if you have been Power BI Free user, in both cases you could not have more than 1 gigabyte of the size in your Power BI file, even with Pro account. People with Pro account think that they have about 10 gigabyte space. That's correct. You had about 10 gigabyte space on your account, but every single model, every single Power BI file cannot exceed more than 1 gigabyte. If you have a file that exceeds more than 1 gigabyte, then it doesn't actually allow you to publish it into Power BI. So what would be the situation if you have a large data set, petabytes of data, things like that, either splitting that into different Power BI models, which always does not give you the best experience because you will have separate reports, you cannot do consolidated type of things, or you have to use live query or direct query, which is not as fast and not as great as the import data. Live query and direct query are direct connection to the data source, and you might not get the great experience that you have in DAX or Power Query as well. Which is one of the limitations of the not current but the old plan of Power BI. The other limitation is that in most of the scenarios you are creating a report as a developer and you are sharing that report with some users. Those users mainly are your are readers or consumers. They are not developers. So why should they pay $10 per month for a developer account that they don't use ever? They just use that for browsing. So these are main reasons and some other reasons that brought the requirement for Power BI Premium. Now, what is the Premium Power BI Premium? Power BI Premium is a licensing plan which actually allows these situations to be resolved much easier. Power BI Premium comes to help the licensing situation of Power BI, not to not to change the existing licensing plan. So when we talk about Power BI Premium, we are talking about per node and reader users rather than just development users, $10 per user. So we have some nodes that we can share with hundreds of users, and those users can be reader users. So some questions appear right away as well. Is Power BI Pro and Free gone now? No, Power BI Pro and Free are still there. You can still have Power BI Pro and Power BI Free, but there are some changes. Previously, you could share content with even a normal free Power BI account. Now you cannot share with free account. Sharing is a Power BI Pro feature, but they are both available. You can still use free for development, for publishing to Power BI, setting up to see how it is working. With free now you get your 10 gigabyte space as well as the Power BI Pro. So these features are available for free as well. If you want to share, you need Power BI Pro. If you are using some of the advanced features, you need Pro and Premium. Okay, if you are using Pro, you might ask, okay, I'm already using Pro. Should I change to Power BI Premium because it costs $5,000 a month, something like that? It is not a must. You can still continue with Pro account. There is no mandatory obligation that you have to do upgrade to Premium. It is only up to you. So in few next slides, I'll mention what are situations that Premium is better, what are situations that Pro is better. Then you have the option to easily decide, are you going to upgrade to Premium or you are going to stay on Pro. Okay, so what is the benefits of Premium before going to the costing part of it? Benefits of Premium, there are many. The first one is that when you work with the current Power BI environment, you are actually working in a shared environment. So all of your Power BI models is hosted in a shared Power BI Azure server that everyone is using that. So you have shared sources, shared actually resources in terms of memory, CPU, disk space, things like that. With Power BI Premium, you will get dedicated Power BI resources, which depends on the type of node that you are getting, P1, P2, P3. You will get different types of dedicated sources. So for example, P1 gives you 8 core, sorry, the backend core, it will give you 4 core, 25 gigabyte of RAM, front-end core, 4 cores, altogether 8 cores. So backend cores are cores that you normally use for data refresh, for analysis. Front-end cores are for analyzing data, showing it, visualizing it, things like that. Depends on the size of the model that you have and the size of user base that you have, frequency of using those. You could use any of these nodes. There is a PDF white paper that gives you this information. The link of that PDF and white paper is available at the end of this slide deck as well. So first thing is you get dedicated Power BI resources and you can scale up as much as you like. The second thing is you have larger data sets now. Previously, with Power BI Pro right now as well. With Power BI Pro, you get up to 10 gigabytes of space. With Premium, you get up to 100 terabytes of space. So you can put as much as thing you like in that space. It's very unlikely that you fill that 100 terabytes of space. 100 terabytes of space, also considering the compression level of Power BI, means that much more space because everything that loads in Power BI will be compressed automatically itself. Also, the model that I said cannot exceed 1 gigabyte in Power BI Pro or Power BI Free. Now with Power BI Premium, you can have a model up to 50 gigabyte of size. And that almost reduced the need for having analysis services live connection, SQL Server direct query connection. So you can actually use the import data situation easily without needing the live query or direct query situation. If you want to use direct query and live query, you can, but it's not needed only because of the size limitation of the model. You can have up to 50 gigabyte of model and model size, and this 50 gigabyte means much more in the data source level because it will be compressed. So it might be, let's say, a 500 gigabyte database loaded here, end up with 20 gigabyte size. Depends on the cardinality and some things about X velocity compression engine level. So you might get much more compression on that. So the data sets are larger. More frequent data refresh. In Power BI Pro, at the moment, you can refresh up to 8 times a day. Frequency of that can be, at the best level, it can be every 30 minutes. Now, with Power BI Premium, you can refresh up to 48 times a day, and you can schedule it to be every minute as well, but not more than 48 times a day. But the thing is that even if 48 times a day is not enough, you can also have an application, a console application that uses REST API and refresh it as much as you like. Okay, so that refreshing should not be a problem. You have more refreshing options. You get Power BI report server too. Lots of companies asked for Power BI to be available on premises. Power BI report server is actually the Power BI on-premises solution. So you install the report server. It is generally available. That has been generally available again in Microsoft Data Insight Summit June. So you can host your Power BI reports on premises. There are some limitations in the type of report that can be hosted on premises, but you have the option. For working with the licensing plan of that, there are two ways. One is the licensing plan of Power BI Premium itself. One comes with the SQL Server licensing, which for that we need to still wait for the SQL Server licensing plan of that. I haven't seen that article yet. But for the Power BI Premium licensing plan already includes Power BI Report Server. So if you purchase Premium, you will get Power BI Report Server and you will get Power BI on-premises as part of it. Okay, I'm not going to explain that, what is Power BI Report Server. We will have a separate session for the Report Server afterwards in next few sessions. Upcoming features, there are also a lot of things that is upcoming for Power BI Premium. It's not just those that I mentioned. For Power BI Premium, these are lists that are in the roadmap of Microsoft team, having incremental refresh, especially considering the size of model that can be 50 gigabytes. It doesn't make sense to wipe out 50 gigabytes every night and load it again. So incremental refresh is like a need after that. Incremental refresh will come to Power BI Premium. You can pin datasets to memory. In the current type of model, we don't have such option. If I'm working with a model and if as a user base, my users haven't worked with a specific dataset for a while, that dataset will be written back into the disk. This is how the X-Velocity engine will work. Will be written back into the disk. Whenever it's needed, it will be loaded again into the memory to cover the enough memory to cover the existing dataset. But if you have a dataset that is kind of critically needed for always to be in memory, then you can pin that dataset to be in memory. As I said, these are upcoming. You can have dedicated data refresh nodes. So while others are browsing your reports, your data refresh node dedicated on a separate node can refresh the data so others can use it after the refresh is completed. If you have some users in different geolocation areas, you can have geo-replicas of your data sets, of your models. You can have read-only replicas. So this helps in terms of better performance of using Power BI reports for them rather than only one single version of that model. So these are upcoming features. As I said, these are not available yet, but it will be. I don't have any timeline that I can say when it will be available, but it will be available soon, sometime in the future as part of Power BI Premium plan. Okay, so considering all of these benefits and why Power BI Premium is needed, now what is the costing of Power BI Premium? Costing of Power BI Premium has been, there has been a lot of discussion from the time that it has been released. Even before the time that it has been released, there was a lot of discussions around it. So the costing has already a calculator that you can use to calculate the costs of Power BI Premium. I highly recommend using that calculator. It is based on a number of nodes. You have seen P1, P2, P3 nodes that I showed you earlier. Each node has its own costing. At the moment, P1 starts at $5,000 per user per month. Actually, $4,995, which I say $5,000 per user, per node per month. And you might know, depends on number of users that you have. You might need more than one node. So at the moment, the minimum entry price is $5,000 per user per month, right? But this is still under some discussions and it might be reviewed. Microsoft is still looking at the feedbacks. So this session is also an opportunity to get some feedbacks. I will get these feedbacks to Microsoft team as well. so they might have lower entry point at some stage. But at the moment, 5,000 is the minimum entry price. So how you can work with this calculator? You just specify how many users you have. As an example, I put 10,000 users over here. And out of those 10,000 users, not all of your users are pro users or developers. You might have only 300 developers, as you can see in the pro user section. The rest are, let's say, half of that is frequent users, half of that is occasional users. So based on that, this calculator suggests me to have about 6 P1 nodes to cover that user base. For my 300 users, I need 300 pro licenses. So still for your developer, you need pro licenses. So 300 pro licenses, that makes about $3,000 per month. 6 P1 nodes itself costs about $30,000 per month. So that means a company with this configuration needs to pay $33,000 per month, which is 1/3 of what they should pay in the current Power BI Pro situation. So it is much cheaper considering the current Power BI Pro. But is it always like that? How you can find out the break-even point? That's a good question. The answer is that it all depends on the type of situation that you have. Sometimes you are part of a very large organization, a very large enterprise. Situation is different. Sometimes you are part of a small business company. Situation is different. I put two example scenarios here that give you some understanding. A large enterprise with 10,000 users, which 300 of those are developers, the rest are more kind of just readers. Out of that, half of them might be frequent readers, half of them occasional users. As you have seen in the calculator, 6 P1 nodes is required for that. So we have $310 per user per month, and 6 nodes, $5,000 per month. Altogether, $33,000 per month, which is far less than $100,000 per month, right? So for that type of enterprise organization, definitely Power BI Premium is a win. Also, they will get Power BI Premium, Power BI Report Server as part of it as well. If you are working with a small business, size business with, let's say, 50 users only, even if your 50 users, they pay $10 per user per month, you are paying $500 per month, which is still cheaper from the current entry price of Power BI Premium, which is $5,000. So in that case, and considering that 5,000 is the minimum entry price, then Power BI Pro is still a good option. So you can continue going with Power BI Pro. So every different scenario might have different situations. Depends on the type of situations you might use any of these different things. Okay, before going further, I can take some questions for now. Is there any questions we can go through? Okay, a question, with Power BI Pro, do you get Power BI Report Server? Yes, with Power BI Pro, you get Power BI Report Server as well. That's one of the features coming with Power BI. Sorry, Pro, no. Sorry, I misread the question. With Power BI Pro, you cannot get Power BI Report Server. You get Power BI website configuration, those kind of things, development features, but not the Report Server. Report Server is part of Power BI Premium. If you want Power BI Report Server, you have to either use Premium or some SQL Server license, which will come later. Any other questions so far? Okay, publishing into reporting services, that's also same. So Power BI Report Server is actually publishing Power BI into the reporting services. So publishing Power BI into reporting services is called Power BI Report Server. So these are coming as premium features, not with Pro only. Any other questions? Okay, seems no other questions. There is also another piece of licensing with that, which is premium and embedded together. So if you are not familiar with embedded, embedded is embedding the Power BI content into your application. And uh, there are some examples of that, SDKs of that. I have done a session on embedding Power BI content or using Power BI REST API in Data Insight Summit. Video is available in our YouTube channel. Just go and have a look at that. You will have a understanding how you can embed Power BI content. What is the benefit of embedding Power BI content? There are many benefits. One of them is that then you are not bound to Power BI per user licensing. You can have a web application that has its own user login situation and use it for Power BI to use it to share the content of Power BI. So you don't need to actually purchase Power BI Pro or things like that. So that's like creating your own sharing environment for Power BI content. Uh, Previously, before Power BI Premium changes, embedded pricing, I've mentioned how it was 5 cents per page render sessions. Now with Premium, that pricing also changed. It is based on a page render still, so let me tell you what page render is. Page render is every time you open a Power BI visual, every time actually a Power BI visual render or loads on your page. This includes page refresh itself, and every time you interact with that as well, like slicing and dicing, filtering, things like that, these are also considered as a page render. Okay, so this pricing is based on a page render, and there are different SKU level of that. This is the current Power BI Premium and embedded together licensing plan. So it starts from $625 per month, and that is for maximum 300 renders per hour. So how that works, you already know what the page render is. Page render means that every time the visual or report is loaded or have been interacted with. So you can have, with the first plan, you can have up to 300 page renders per hour. This is your peak hour, right? So it doesn't matter, you might have that much more through the day, but as long as in 1 hour it's not more than that, then you should be fine with this actually situation, which works with one visual core. If you have more than that, then you can go to another which has 2 cores, which is 1,245, and the rest. So these are coming in July mainly, and you can continue. So there are some premium cores available as well at $20,000 with 32 visual cores. So if you have some Power BI content that you want to share with users, sometime considering the number of users, maybe embedding Power BI content and using Power BI Premium EM1, EM2, or EM3 might be much more cost effective than using Power BI Premium or using Power BI Pro. So these are also important. As I said, I'm not going into demoing how we can embed Power BI content into an application. I have a separate video for that, so make sure that you read that, you watch that actually in our YouTube channel. But this is basically give you a way of sharing content without going through Pro, with sometimes better licensing plan. So let me give you an example. If I'm in a company and I have about, let's say, 100 users, and these 100 users maximum, they will not do more than 250 page renders per hour. So in that case, I can easily set up a Power BI embedded with premium EM1 for them, which costs $625 per month, which if I compare it with doing normal Power BI Pro, I have to pay $1,000 per month. So this is much cheaper than that, even much cheaper than paying premium, which is $5,000 per month. So sometimes the situation is that embedding and these SKUs are much better. Okay, any questions? I see some other questions as well. So a question from Pratap. My organization published reports since 2 months, but premium is released this month. So is that a question? Which means report services is present outside of premium. If your organization doesn't have premium, yes, report server is not supported then. You might get report server, Power BI report server with a SQL Server licensing plan as well. There's a service level agreement for that. You have to do a little bit of research on that. I'm not 100% sure how the SQL Server licensing part of it works, but with Power BI licensing, you need to have premium. Without premium, you don't get the reporting services Power BI. The other question, I was worried about embedded license costs. Thanks for showing that. Okay, thank you, Andrew. So another question, is there no on-premises option with Power BI Pro? No. Just with Power BI Pro, no. But if you want to have on-premises, you have two paths of the licensing, like the SQL Server itself. When you purchase SQL Server, you purchase the licensing for SQL Server. So if you want Power BI on-premises, you have to either go to SQL Server licensing, which those information will come, or with Power BI Premium licensing. That's the only option for Power BI on-premises. Any other questions? Okay, no other questions. So in summary, that was things that I went through. What was the licensing before May 2017? What is the new licensing changes? You've seen Power BI Premium, why we are doing Power BI Premium, what is the Power BI Premium, benefits of that, which you have seen a lot of things, bigger size of data, having a reader type of users, and dedicated resources, and a lot of things upcoming as well, like incremental load, like pin data set to memory, a lot of geo-replicas, a lot of things like that. Costing is something that you need to consider carefully. Is Power BI Premium good for you or not? And if the Power BI Premium itself is still expensive, Power BI Premium and embedded together can be sometimes a really good option. If you want to understand the details of how to embed content into Power BI, as I said, how to embed Power BI content into the web application, as I said, look at the other video which is in our playlist of YouTube channel to understand how to embed that content. Okay, now it's time to go through some questions and answering. If you have questions, I can also unmute your microphone so you can ask your questions as well. So raise your hand, ask questions, or just type in your questions. Okay, a question from Todd. Would you take a general Power BI? General Power BI, you mean free account Power BI, Todd? Not sure if I understand the question. So if you mean free Power BI account, yes, we can use free Power BI account, but not in a production environment because you cannot share that, share the content with that. The normal Power BI, if you want to use as a sharing features and some other features, then Power BI Pro would be good. Can you ask a question about Power BI functionality? Yes, yeah, you can go ahead. I can unmute your microphone and you can ask the question. Let me find your... So you are unmute.
Reza?
Yes, Todd.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, hey, if you don't mind and if you have time, I'm just trying to figure something out, and I was at the Ask the Experts section at the Data Insights conference, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them. But do you recommend, or do you have a best practice for publishing reports or dashboards out to, let's say, a sales team of 50 people. You build one dashboard, you publish it. What is the best practice for controlling people seeing only their data? So the example would be, I want to see only the customer data for those customers that I am coded to or that I own.
Right. So that's mainly a question of role-level security. So you have to implement role-level security in your Power BI solution to get that thing up and running. It is possible. It is not hard to implement. It is easy to implement as well. There are different levels of role-level security. One is just a static role-level security, which you define roles per a bunch of users. Let's say one role is US sales manager. This sales manager will see all US data. Another is Europe sales manager, will see all Europe data. Another is, I don't know, Asia Pacific sales manager, will see Asia Pacific data. You will set these up and publish your Power BI report, and then assign users to these security roles. I have a blog post about it which explained that in details from the beginning to the end. So that works perfectly fine. That's one way of doing that. The other way is to do it through dynamic role-level security. So that role-level security model works perfectly fine, but sometimes you have a lot of roles to create. Let's consider, for example, a payroll example. In a payroll example, you want everyone to see their own payroll information, their own salaries, things like that, and you have a company with 10,000 users. It is not possible to create 10,000 roles. It is possible, but it takes ages to do such thing. So for those kind of things, we don't do normal static role-level security to create every single role. We use a specific DAX function called username, which gives us who is logged into Power BI. Based on their user login, then we assign their own data to that. That's called dynamic role-level security, which again, for that one also I have published a blog post. So if you just send me an email after this session, I'll forward these things to you, these two articles that you can go through and find out how to do that. Okay, role level security. No, it's called row level security, ROW, because we implement these in a row level. But for creating that, you need to create the roles. So it's kind of a mix of both. But it is called row level security. Okay. Thanks, Todd. Any other questions? These are also references to study more if you have any questions. If you want to look at Power BI Premium white paper, embedding pricing, I have written a weblog article post myself about Power BI Premium when it became available, and the Power BI book that is available. It seems that there is no other questions. Okay. So if there's no other questions, feel free to contact me anytime you have questions, and make sure that you follow our blog. There are always new announcements, and we put there in our blogs. Also, follow our YouTube channel. You will see a lot of videos coming up. Thank you everyone for attending. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day, evening, morning, whatever time is in your time. Thank you.